Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 167 of Petey's Awesome Guest Panel. Now, before I introduce tonight's returning guest star, let me introduce tonight's co-host for this evening, all wonderful human beings, all Muppet Baby fans, and all fans of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. First off, from the land from down under, Miss Jessie Devine.
Hi!
Where am I going to go
Well,
next?
hello.
That you always love my optimism. Keep my optimism.
Right on point. Also,
Yes.
Also joining us tonight, he's a wonderful friend of mine from Reality of Wrestling, Mr. Darius JoJo Gibbons. Darius, your microphone.
Oh, can you hear?
Yep.
Okay. Hey guys, how's it going? This is Sugarland's finest from Reality of Wrestling, JoJo Gibbons, and it's nice to see you all, guys.
Oh, it's such a pleasure having you, man. You know you're always welcome here.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I just got done from a wrestling school yesterday. I'm still kind of sore from today from taking a bunch of bumps. But other than that, I'm happy to be here.
Hope you feel better, buddy.
I'll be just fine.
Cool. And tonight, introducing tonight's guest star, he is a gentleman who has been a friend of mine for many years. And not only that, he is a veteran voice actor. He has been known for major projects such as Muppet Babies, the original Muppet Babies, not that reboot, but the original Muppet Babies we're talking here, as well as other projects, including the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and one of my favorite shows, The Simpsons. My guest this time is the returning, the iconic, Mr. Greg Berg. Welcome, Greg. How are you today? It's great to have you back.
I'm terrific. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to have you. And we got a lot of clips prepared. We got everything prepared. Somebody is joining us actually. Hold on, let's see. Maybe it's actually another co-host of ours. Let's see. We're gonna see right now. Who's joining us?
Yeah.
Dan?
I'm here. Sorry, it must have kicked me off for just a split second, but I'm back.
Oh, Darius. Okay. Were you able to sign off on your this one and then go on to your other one?
Yes, I should be able to.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Perfect.
There we go.
Sorry about that.
No, sorry.
Now, here's how we're gonna do this. Tonight we're gonna each ask questions, and every time we ask our questions, we're gonna play one of your clips to pay tribute to you. So, one of the first questions I have for you, sir, and that is, what was a typical a day like on the set of the recording booth of the Muppet Babies? Take us there.
Well, as I think back, it reminds me that we actually spent almost a full day at the studio. I believe it was just about when they switched to doing 4-hour day sessions. And these days, it's a big difference. So I'll just concentrate on what your question was. Yeah, about 4 hours going into work, reading through a script. But if there was any notes to be taken, we took them through the read-through and then added them in the actual recording. So if we question what was going on with the scene, there's a big difference between animated scripts and TV and movie scripts. And that is, they don't say, and the sun's coming up and the door is heard opening and all that. So we had nothing to do with that. But we did have to use our minds to figure, okay, we're pulling. Now, how hard are we pulling something? Very hard. Are we sneaking in? How quiet are we? And that kind of thing. So in a cartoon session itself, that's what went on with that in particular show. But I also noticed doing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there would be almost exactly the same thing. We'd have to know we're efforting to come out of a hole or something like that. A typical day for doing what we had to do is come in and depending how many episodes for that year, we'd see each other every couple of weeks and show up, do the routine.
Huh. And how long would it usually take to make an episode, like one episode? Like, how long would it take? Usually, like the process, like the of it airing.
Well, that's kind of interesting because that is where the other hands who were involved in the show get involved. I just knew I had to come in and record and do what I do, and then they send it off to whatever they were going to do, animate it or add effects or whatever came next to them. That would be more of a producer-director concern. But I did hear at one point that the show was to be delivered to the show, the network, and CBS, is one of the networks I was part of. And a particular show had just been completed maybe minutes before it was supposed to be on. And it
Wow.
had to be delivered and loaded up and everything. And I heard at one point there was a particular episode that they waited to the very last minute and finally delivered it, and that was going to be an original airing. Otherwise, they were all set to run either a rerun or a replacement show just for that time slot. But that's what I had heard, that it gets pretty tight when it comes to the actual production sides of show business like this.
Huh. I didn't know that. And before I ask, before Darius asks his first question, though, I just want to ask because you're an original member of the original cast of the 1984, I believe, 84 Muppet Babies. I want to get your opinion on the current reboot that is the CGI Muppet Babies that comes out now. So I just want to get your thoughts on the current one, current Muppet Babies. The
I personally, I haven't seen a single episode because I don't have extra channels. I just have the basic networks and local stations. But when I do a convention, I do hear back from without me asking them, because it's Muppet Babies, but I don't know how Jim Henson's company is connected with it, or did they drop Jim's name from it? But it is Muppets. So, however, all that went on, I do hear back from the fans, though, telling me they prefer the original animated version as well as the original animated version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So
By
there's
far.
something about that very first one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There, your first question?
Well, actually, I was actually taken aback by the fact that the production was such at the last minute. I thought that obviously the show would have been produced, voice acted. I thought that would have been done weeks before the show aired. So I mean, that's an eye opener for me on how breakneck the industry is. But the question I really have is how did you land the role as being the alternative Donatello and Bebop for the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? And what was it like actually working with the voice of the
That is
original
a
Donatello?
Yeah, very interesting question, because again, I speak of what I'm doing. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say I was all giddy to be a Mutant Ninja Turtle because it was just a brand new show at the time. But I was very happy to be able to fill in for an excellent professional, Barry Gordon, who was the voice of Donatello and Bebop and the other voices they ran to him to be a character of. Because in animation, you're allowed to be hired for up to 3 voices in one show. So I never, if doing just Donatello and Bebop fill in, or if they even added another character, and that had happened, but it slipped my mind. It was a character called Sluggo, and I still have yet to look up a little more about it, so I know if the name ever comes up, or if I see the character again, I could relate to it. But when I had almost like a regular audition, word went out, we need a voice to match a particular character that couldn't make a session, or they are replacing them or whatever. In my case, I sure hope they weren't going to replace him, because he was the one that created that character. But they did need somebody to fill in for him, because as luck would have it, he became president of the Screen Actors Guild and had to attend various meetings and not be available for the weekly sessions that they predicted for that particular show. So they put out a call, who could sound like this person or make their voice sound like that character in particular. And my name was submitted, and my take of what it would be like was submitted, and I made the cut. So they called me in. I filled in for him for those particular episodes, and then I heard he was coming back, which was and great news. And he came back and fulfilled the other hundreds of shows they needed. But for my show in particular, that's how it went down. They put a call out for a sound alike, These days, again, I'm going to avoid talking about the current status of the business because of the questions posed. Uh, because there's so many other people who do voices now and ways they can be heard. But in my particular case, that's what
Thank you for
happened.
letting us know about how that all worked out. And another thing I didn't know is that voice actors, you had a limit to up to 3 roles that you can voice act within a single show. That's something I never knew either.
That is a part of the animation business. Just like at one point it used to be hold for 8 hours, but so many voices needed for other shows and professionals that were available, they were tied up in an 8 hour session. So then they chopped it down to 4 hours so they could do probably twice as much work, or depending how long the other sessions would take. But it was interesting to view this as part of a upcoming voice talent. And now 40 years of professionally doing this kind of work, nothing surprises me, and I adapt pretty well when it comes to it.
That's beautiful, Greg. And I have
Awesome.
to and I have to ask you too, Greg, before we get to Jess's question, actually it's two quick questions. Were you using like was the inspiration for Donatello's voice, was it that using Baby Scooter's voice? Was that like were you inspired with using the Baby Scooter voice, or was that totally new innovative voice that you used?
The two voices are totally different.
Okay.
It's all about voice placement, the character, all of that acting that goes into performing voices. Um, I think something showed me that I had an edge to doing Donatello because of Barry Gordon, the actor who had been at it for many decades and worked his way up to being a Ninja Turtle. He was a kid actor, a singer, and middle-aged actor. So he just followed his progression. And so with what I did, they explained the character. I watched it. I tried to adapt to it. So I deliver it properly because I had watched cartoons in the past that replaced other voices where the talent was either in an accident and couldn't redo a particular episode, or they took off for a while and needed somebody to fill in. And the reaction was something I didn't really want to be part of the negative any kind of reaction from it. So I wanted to make sure I could cover it as well. And then I also took great direction from the director, Susan Blue, who's terrific, was directing cartoons at the time. And she would give me various tips as to how to round it out or whatever I needed to do with the character and still be along the line of being acceptable. Because that's one thing I question whenever I see a cartoon and they use a new voice to fill in for the person. Either it's totally way off, and are you going to react to it negatively, or gonna go with the new voice? But it's so obvious. I mean, but that's happened with TV, such as Bewitched, when they had two different Darrens,
Oh yeah.
as one took off for medical reasons. And did people cringe, or did they seem to like it better? I just did what I did and trusted the director to know what she needed, and that's how I wound up performing the way I did.
And you were really good in it too, and it very frequently that happened too because it was you. They did it with Barry, but they also I believe they did that with Rob Paulson. If he didn't make it, they got Hal Rail to do it, and I think even Townsend Coleman even did like whenever they couldn't get James Avery to do Shredder or can't get Pat Fraley to do Krang. I think he actually did like some voices like as an alternate for them.
It's kind of an interesting story how that panned out. But then again, it was a long series and anything was bound to happen. They didn't have people definitely tied to it, but they honored their position and they came back later on when they could come back, which was very nice.
I thought so too. Um, Miss Divine, your first
Can you
question?
share any behind the scenes insights or anecdotes from your experience on Muppet Babies or any other voiceover roles you've done in your entire career?
Well, you're covering hundreds of various roles, seen, unseen demos, industrials, things that hadn't been released to the general public. But to me, it's been like one big game. I enjoy it so much that I try to keep it legitimate as best as possible. Some people can do a voice, but they can't sustain it. In my case, I wanted to make sure every voice I delivered had something to it that was going to be sticking with the people who watched, whether they like the performance or the character itself. Uh, we're talking cartoon series, we're talking about commercials. Because I was a voice in a commercial, when I do conventions, I show my main characters from Muppet Babies or Turtles, but I had also been a voice during the 80s of the Golden Graham cereal Honey Drop, which was a new mascot they were introducing into cereals at the time. And that was fun, even though I only had two lines. How nutritious the cereal was or how good it was. But that was fun to do as well. And those two lines made me a mascot for cereal. Not as long as Tony the Tiger or the cereals of the 50s and 60s, but it was a good run. I had fun with it. As far as characters going in and out of different shows, there's times I had to talk to myself, like in Muppet Babies, talking as Fozzie and Scooter without even breaking. And it came off that way, that there were two people there, or it was edited, but it was really just me. So that's a lot of fun too. The characters I've done, I just enjoyed throwing it out there. If somebody latched onto it and said, do more of that. I remember being on a cartoon called Avatar, and I did a character on that for one episode, which you never know what will happen. Well, the backstory was I heard they were eventually going to make that character running character with a storyline, but they killed him off after the first episode. So it was one of those could have that things that would have happened, but it was fun doing a voice for another cartoon and a new character. And that's what I do when I do all these voices, or else I make up voices that can be used later on. I have a producer friend from animation calling me up saying, okay, whose voice can you do now? Or that I latched onto and tried to do. So that's always been a challenge. And when it works out, it's great.
Very cool. Now we have two clips actually prepared for you to pay tribute to you tonight, Greg. Both of them actually. One's Muppet Babies. We have a clip from the Muppet Babies, and we have a clip from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Both of your respective works, and I want to get everyone's opinion on the clips, and also I want to show why Greg Berg is such a legend with these clips I have prepared. So here's the first clip I have prepared. This is a Muppet Baby clip from one of the very last episodes, or from the very last season. Pardon me. It's from 6 to 8 weeks. That was the episode title. One of my favorite episodes per se. But here is the clip. Let me go ahead and pull it up, and let me know when everyone sees it, and I will go ahead and share this wonderful clip. Alrighty. Can everyone see?
Yep.
Yep.
Here is the pure magic of Greg Berg's comedic genius. Here we go.
Hey, maybe it should be a clubhouse.
A clubhouse?
That's a great idea, Fozzie.
Fozzie had a good idea.
Yeah, it'll be great. The Fozzie Bear Club. Foz can hear a roll call. Call out your name.
Scooter!
Scooter! Oh, no! Kermit!
Gonzo!
Gosh!
Piggy!
Animal! Oh, great! This is awful!
Miffin?
Gosh! Thanks, Animal! Whoa! Hey, everybody! It's time! Whoa! Yeah! For our Fozzie Bear cartoon! Hello, everybody! Have I got some great jokes for you? Are you ready?
Oh, no!
Ready. anything but Fozzie's jokes. Time for me to get out of here. Ah! I hate when this happens. Hey, where'd everybody go? Hey, do you want to hear my jokes? They're really funny. Wait, don't leave. Hey, want to see my rubber chicken? No. Okay then, why does a chicken wear red suspenders?
Hey, this is funny.
Get me out of here!
Okay, so what did everyone think of that?
It was so cute.
Greg, your comments?
Well, with Muppet Babies, I really appreciated that show because it wasn't locked into a story for the next 20 minutes or however long the cartoon would run. It had little bits of fun stuff in it with so many different characters there that people watching couldn't wait to see what was going to happen next. So they weren't going to be dragged down to remember what happened at the beginning of the show. So whether anybody has, like a school or a workshop, has ever broken down the show to be presented as a subject, because I think they've done that with many other running shows such as The Simpsons, they actually turned it into a course and analyzed why things happened, it was about, and that kind of thing. But in a nutshell, I can just say each show had some sort of story that would interest to know. And then we had Jim Henson behind it to have his not towards the end because the show was still running even after he passed away, but the beginning years had something to do with Jim because he okayed what the show was going about, and if it was too harsh or needed this or that.
Would you say also, Greg, that the episodes, like, there are some episodes, like, that of Muppet Babies that are just all heart though. Like, I remember two episodes specifically that, made little me cry back in the day. I remember it was when you and Katie sang "Look a Little Bit Closer" with Gonzo, when it was Rolf, Scooter, and Gonzo, and I think it was a song about um Gonzo loving Piggy, but she didn't feel the same way. And he felt bad about himself. So you and Katie sang a song called "Look a Little Bit Closer," and it was just such a beautiful song. And then years later, they had the Valentine's Day special. I remember telling Kate this when I had her on the show, and I just loved her performance on the Valentine's Day special when she sang "You're Special to Me."
Oh, sure. That was each week. I couldn't wait to see what we're going to do each week, but I knew what we were in for, something very touching or fun to play with. But one of the my mind when you talk just about the song is when they it was called "Artist for Your Heart." I thought that was going to turn into a major song. There's a little problem with having music and trying to launch that in a separate direction as well. But that would have been a good song to turn to a hit from the show. So we were songs with the show, so some be touching to others, and so there was one that was also supposed to be a hit called "Good Things Happen in the Dark," and that again was satisfying young viewers to understand the dark isn't something to be scared of.
Two of my co-hosts that are actually on are not on tonight, and they're not here to ask this question. So I'm gonna let my lovely co-host ask this question. And she knows this question, Jesse. You know this question. I ask this question to every single guest star.
Yep.
So, and this is no exception to Mr. Berg here. So go ahead, Jesse, and ask that question.
How does it feel to be a legend?
Oh my word. I know I've been a trooper at this for 40 plus years. I haven't looked at it as being a legend. However, the more calls I get, it kind of fills up the cup to make me feel like a lot of people have followed me and are interested in what I do. And I am trying to put out, I think whoever's watching can do so much things that they don't even know that they can do, and encourage them to be just as creative. If I ever get to a speaking engagement, part of my message is to choose a goal and good will come from it. Just choosing the goal and then taking it. People how they can set a goal and achieve it. Uh, whether it's something that will make them very happy or just something to do, because I noticed others didn't know how to do this. When somebody showed me, I said, if it works for me, I'm going to show other people how to do it. So to call me a legend, I don't know about that. I had some great breaks and constantly add to my abilities, talents, and that's what I think everybody should be doing.
Amen, sir. And one of my question is your camera on, Greg?
I see you.
Oh, for
Can
some
you
reason
hear me?
I can't see you for some reason. Darius, Jeff, are you able to see Greg?
No, I'm not. I can see you just fine.
I see the square in the corner, and then I also see the people that are talking.
No worries. Well, I'm just gonna ask the
It's
question
saying,
though. And that is, Mr. Berg, what do you think of the impact that? Oh, there you go. I see you now. Yeah. What do you think of the impact that the Muppet Babies, and you know what? This is gonna be a double whammy question for you. What do you think of the impact that both Muppet Babies and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have done on both old and new generations of fans 40 years after its initial release? And I can't believe it's been 40 years since their initial release. I can't believe that.
well, it's one of those shows that last, luckily, like Sesame Street or Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. He fought for that occasionally. Um, the Muppet Babies itself, we lost a big chunk with Jim Henson passing on halfway through the run. I think he would have had some additional impact to that. And then who knows where, if they popped up here and there, other projects or whatever. We never did make a film of Muppet Babies, and that I believe should have been in the works based on the performance of the particular show. Ninja Turtles, I happened to be in on the ground floor of that particular show, almost like The Simpsons. I've also worked on The Simpsons doing 6 years of additional dialogue replacement, and then eventually it gave me a guest starring role as things progressed in the further years. So again, I was on the ground floor with that because I started when Simpsons started, more or less part of the group. That went years ahead. You flash ahead and you'd see how celebrities then caught on to it and wanted to be recognizable characters on the show, or even a couple of years after that, singing groups and rock stars wanted to be part of it somehow or another, or they wrote that into it. So they were stretching the show to last itself. Ninja Turtles, I remember getting in there when it was first or second season. I just remember it was another cartoon that was on the books for Saturday mornings. And now I believe the fans were great at picking out things, followed along with it, and turned it into what it is today. And it branched off into many different additional franchises. So just talking about the beginning, where it started, yeah. Here we were looking at just shows, doing voice. It sticks, and both of them did. Muppet Babies won 4 years in a row for Saturday morning best cartoon animated series being shown, and Ninja Turtles 200 episodes plus. That's a long run.
It is. And you know what? legendary shows to the end. And when you just said Saturday morning cartoons, though, when I think Saturday morning cartoons, especially in the 80s, though, and I think Darius would agree with me on this one too, as we're both 80s and 90s babies here. But when we think Saturday morning cartoons in the 80s, we think like shows like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, He-Man, Garfield and Friends, like you just mentioned, Muppet Babies, Ghostbusters, the animated Ghostbusters. So you just part of like legendary history for both not just the 80s babies, for 90s babies like myself and Darius too.
Well, yes, again, getting to the word legendary, I have been around for a very long time. Various shows worked for what I lent my talents to. I'm constantly working on new voices, especially when I have to audition for whether it's a commercial voice or a cartoon. Some cartoons I pass on because it doesn't fit my character as far as lifestyle. Being wholesome and family oriented. I wouldn't mind doing a angry character and all that, but again, is that a character you want somebody to remember you for, or are you doing it for entertainment, or what? I'm constantly doing these voices, so a show picked me up. Out of there, I wasn't even familiar with the people involved with Muppet Babies other than Jim Henson, and couldn't wait to be part of, or given that chance to be part of that, and it worked. Ninja Turtles, it wasn't a big franchise at the time, so I didn't know what I was getting into, but if it lasted long, I was happy for it. And sure enough, it ran a long time, and now you have your fan clubs and people who are collectors of various items trying to outdo each other or whatever. But yeah, I mean, if you luck out and get to be part of a show, just like something like a TV show from that's been around a while, the Gilligan's Island or Brady Bunch, they really only ran just a few years, I believe, and still people are watching them. So it's something that you deliver that sticks with the people, and if they like it enough, they'll still be around enough to keep promoting it for us.
Totally
But I
agree.
love the fans of both sides because they're two dichotomies basically, and I see that when I'm at the conventions I do.
It's really cool too, because you got really like when two worlds collide. You got the collide when you got the old generation of Muppet Baby fans meeting the new generation of Muppet Baby fans. So it's a really beautiful thing. And likewise to the Teenage Mutant Turtles, like you got the old Teenage Mutant Turtles, the 80 ones. Then you got these incarnations that are coming out. We had the 2012, the 2003, the current one. So I think it's a beautiful thing. Now we have a couple more questions before we wrap up, Greg. But we have a couple of clips we want to show too before we get to them. This is another clip I had prepared for you. You mentioned The Simpsons, so I took the liberty of actually taking that episode that you were in, dissected it to only your parts, and we're gonna show that it's only an hour and not sorry, not an hour, 1 minute and 30 seconds long. Pardon me. That was my blunder. Whew. I got jitters. Just got jitters just thinking about it. So let me go ahead and share this. This is Greg's appearance on The Simpsons. Now, Greg actually had more than one role on The Simpsons, and I want to get everyone's thoughts on this particular scene. This was episode from season 2, Bart versus Thanksgiving. Here we go. Can everyone see?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here we go. I'm gonna play it.
And now, get set for our fabulous halftime show, featuring the well-groomed young go-getters of Hooray for Everything.
Oh, I love those kids. They've got such a great attitude.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hooray for Everything invites you to join them in a salute to the greatest hemisphere on Earth, the Western Hemisphere, the dancingest hemisphere of all.
Next roll.
Mr. Burns, this is Base Command. The intruder appears to be a young male aged 9 to 11.
Release the
Next
hound.
clip.
Cute little guy.
He's starting to come around.
Hey, you look a little pale, son.
We better get you some food. Here we are.
See you at Christmas.
Listen, guys, I was thinking, unless you feel weird about taking money from a kid, I thought maybe...
I wouldn't feel weird, would you?
No, I'm comfortable with it. We checked. He's long gone.
Can you think of any reason he might have run away? Anything at all?
So that was it, though. And, Greg, can you confirm me? You were the original Eddie, right? You played one of the cops in that scene, right?
I wasn't a cop. I was the homeless guy, the security guy, and on Mr. Burns' property, and the voice on the radio. And I surprised a lot of people because at the conventions, I bring that up only as I point out that I don't have hundreds of characters behind me because I've been many inanimate objects or something that you couldn't take a picture of and really sign and sell off at it. I was in, I mentioned I was in the original movie, Toy Story, another original, and I was the voice of the two doors that closed at Planet Pizza, the electronic voice that saying, "Welcome to Planet Pizza, please duck," or whatever was coming up for them to do. And I couldn't just take a picture of a screen door or a metal door. I asked a lot of the fans to say, if you saw this movie or that movie or this show or that show, you still just don't have pictures of. That's why you don't. I don't sign anything obscure unless somebody brings it to me. I mentioned to some of the people who had known some of my work, asking about just what I was part of in a movie that was pretty popular called The Other with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. I was a voice in the
Darius,
first 12 minutes.
your next question? Oh, your one of your final questions before we wrap up?
Oh, yes, actually, I do have a question. What would you say is one of your more negative experiences of your career as far as dealing with voice actors? Was there somebody that you necessarily didn't get along with in set, or there was a certain vision of the show or a certain show that you were on that you didn't like?
The more I think of it, I live a very happy and positive life. And I know in the past, when I first started, I was reading for some tough characters and was actually told why I didn't get it was because I was too nice when I was trying to do a rough, tough character. So I kept that in mind. So, okay, I'll work on that for who knows in the future. Maybe we'll get more, pick up that character. And but I haven't had that chance anymore. There are many actors that sound like they had a tough time, and especially after 40 years, you can just hear that I enjoy what I like doing and that it comes off very happy and pleasant. And so I seem to be booking whenever there's a role with those qualities. And if you call that negative, it's just finding that type of character. Like you wouldn't imagine a comedian being a killer in a movie. So they go through that as well, saying, "Oh, you sound very funny, like a funny guy." But so that's why if you say it's negative, it's just helped me. Nothing negative that threw me and make me want to get out of the business and threw me off.
Okay.
Huh. Interesting. Jess, your final question?
Okay. What important teachings or lessons did you take with you throughout your career in acting that you have used later on in your career, your personal life, or both?
Say work-wise, it's be as best as you can be. And some people I've seen still climbing the ladder have a lot of questions about what they're presenting. Well, that's a little bit to do with confidence. So that was something I picked up. Be confident with your characters. If you come up with it, must be a reason. So must be a reason you can put it somewhere. it doesn't work in particular. Just like when I hear people say, "Oh, I can't do anything but my own voice" or whatever. There have been many actors that worked just doing their own voice and as one character. Uh, Case in point, Garfield, who was Lorenzo Music, the late Lorenzo Music, and his voice was always like that, and so they turned it into Garfield the cat. Um, but the lessons are stay away from negativity and add as much positivity to your life as possible, and good things will be attracted to you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Such a word of wisdom, so sir. And I just want to add, like, this is going to be an extension of what Jesse asked, though, and this is going to be my one of my final questions to you before we conclude, though, before we get to our final comments, though. And my final one of my final questions to you is, are there any words of advice that you would give to our viewers watching right now?
Words of advice. Well, I'm sure they all have hundreds of questions. I people stay positive. Anything you do, turn it into something positive because just as I explained to somebody recently, eliminate certain words from your vocabulary, which will add to a better life, whether it's working on a particular career or just life itself. And words like worry. There's no reason people should worry. They can be concerned, but does not mean they need to worry because worry is just getting through something that hasn't happened yet and letting it affect you. And if you're concerned, well, it's just a little note that says, okay, I'm kind of thinking about this, I'm concerned about this, but there's a good chance that things will work out. But I mean, I'm very much in positive attitude, and I've learned it from a good old friend that I won't mention because nobody would know him, but he taught me a long time ago, stay positive, read positive books. That I can tell you is a book by Napoleon Hill, which was one of the first books I've ever read on keeping positive and changing my life around, and that was called Thinking Rich. Think and Grow Rich. He was like the godfather of having good things happen to you. So once I read that, any other book that related to that was like a log on the fire, and I kept just buying books left and right. Say, oh, I want to hear more about this. I want to hear more about it, and eventually played what I think is a key into getting whatever it is I want in my life to happen. And if something negative happens, I turn it to positive. But that's after doing, learning this and going through how to navigate this. But I want people to just say, don't worry, be happy, more or less.
Short and sweet. That's basically simple as that. Just be happy, be positive, and you know what? I totally will totally echo those words of encouragement that you had for us today, Mr. Berg. And
Well, just imagine walking down the street and asking somebody, are they happy or are they doing something they want to do? How many of them do you think would say no? And so it was my goal to reach out to people and say, you want to be happy? What is it that would make you happy? And then take it from there. And then again, when I relate this to doing speeches, setting a goal, how to get it, and more or less that goal should make you happy.
totally agree. We got our final comments still. I'm going to get to my final comments in a second, but of course, I'm going to let my co-hosts give their final comments. Jesse, your final comments for the legendary Greg. I know about the word how you feel about the Greg about legendary, but I just can't help myself because
I'm not dead yet.
That's just kidding me, just giving you that respect and giving you your flowers.
Oh, okay.
Well, I appreciate it.
But I'm sorry, I'm babbling. Jess, your final comments.
Great to learn about you, and I never even knew that you were the voice of the screen doors from Toy Story till now.
Oh yeah, there's many things. That's why I have to sometimes tell people you might see three main national characters on my poster that I take around with me when I'm signing autographs or talking with people about cartoons. But so much goes into it, at least in my case, because I've seen many other actors who had loads of working with many famous talents and doing many jobs that in my case, doing voices, they came my way. I worked on the Bob Hope Christmas special in one case. I was the voice of a talking penguin. And I don't know if they run those as a regular show, like because it was a variety show. But anybody who happened to see that particular one that year, they heard me, and that was part of one of those fun roles I chalked up as to doing a voice for. So yeah, I'm as I look at it anyway, I'm a voice talent, and if I can do it, I'd be happy to give it a try, and hope you're happy with it, and ask people just to call on me if they ever have anything to do with voice characters, and that's kind of what I've done because I did turn it from doing just commercials. I know when I started out, people said, "Oh, you'd be a great commercial voice guy." Well, I did put in time doing various commercials, and then I got the idea of doing the characters for cartoons and other commercials, and that came about. So one thing led to another, and now when, as I say, doing it for this length of time, some people get a project that lasts shortly, but they're remembered forever. Others have been there a long time, and some people don't know that they can pick up and find me at least to say, "Hey, we have a talking this or that. Do you want to do the voice for it?" Others, they just think you're in one corner of a multi guy for cartoons, but no, there are things that need voices, electric doors or whatever, and not made to be funny. And that's kind of a career of me, a pro voice talent. So we are talking about all these different animated shows that I've worked on. I don't know if your audience is also interested in all that other stuff I've done, or just the general subject of voices. I mean, if you think like when it comes to sound alikes, it's not really going to be an impression, and sometimes it will be. It depends if a show might want to sound like somebody's calling in and they don't get the real guy. I was known for being the voice of John Travolta for a character that we did on a national radio show, but we couldn't say it was John Travolta as much as it sounded like him or a characterization of him. So we called him John Revolting, who played a part of
That's a good
silly
one.
things each morning because he became a character in himself because we did the appearances at Disneyland main stage. We did an appearance at the LA Forum, opening up for Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers on a New Year's Eve night. But I got around doing that in person, but it can be turned into a character for whatever. Nobody ever animated it yet. But I'm just showing you when we talk about voices. I mean, is voice that comes to mind of maybe a celebrity from a certain year or something to you, or just a certain year that you watch TV, and I'll try to do a celebrity voice just to show you how to bring back memories.
You want us to give like a name right now that for you to do?
Think of a year, name a year, and I'll try
Uh,
to come up with somebody from there. But I'll give you somebody from that era
okay.
in case like somebody's doing a show about a particular era and they need to make it because what brought this to mind. There was a TV show called Sliders, and it was all about a topsy-turvy world where things are kind of backwards. And somebody in this particular scene was watching a rerun or watching a show of Gilligan's Island, and they needed the voices of somebody who can sound like somebody from the show. And I was picked to be the voice of Gilligan. And in this particular show, as it's running, and it's only in the background, but I did the show, Gilligan was in charge of the island, and the skipper was his little buddy. So when I say I can do a voice of somebody obscure or somebody you'd recognize, somebody might have an idea saying, "Hey, I'm doing a show where we need somebody to sound like that particular era or show that they might be watching." So that's why I say, if you know a year, uh, see what happens.
See what happens. Totally agree.
Give me a year. 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
70s.
All right, yeah, this is the voice of Carol O'Connor. He used to be Archie Bunker from 1970s to All in the Family. Hey, you're not going to be a meathead, are you?
Stifle me, stifle me. Oh man. Those are, by
See,
the way.
because I bring that up too, because I have been part of a couple of other projects where they needed a newsman from the 70s. And how many people remember how a 70s newsman sounds compared to current one or entertainment reporter and all that? So a little psychology goes behind it and being able to deliver as well. So that's why I say if somebody brings up one of those years, I'll say, oh, I can do a characterization of whoever from that particular time. And that's some of the work I've done
So would you
that
say,
you weren't familiar with.
so with the 70s though, would you say like names like Gary Owens and Vin Scully would be in that caliber or no?
Gary had been around probably from the 60s. I
Okay.
met Gary, a great guy. Vin Scully, he had been a game show host in one case, but is known for his announcer work. And just depends. Like somebody might be doing a documentary on somebody. Like I remember they did a documentary on Sam Kinison, and they found somebody to sound like Sam for some of the shots. Well, I never got a call for that, but I knew Sam as a work partner because I had grown up at the Comedy Store where he was at. And basically, I know Sam's, with Sam talking, I would know Sam would talk like this and say, whatever he had to say, and then it goes off into screaming. Oh. But didn't get a chance to show them that, but I would think they would have liked that as much. Because I take a lot of pride behind a lot of the work I do, or most of the work I do, to say, I'm going to give you something that you would really like.
Did you see that Married with Children episode where Sam Kinison was Al Bundy's guardian angel?
No, but I had read, along his way, what happened after people discovered him. But I knew Sam back in the late 70s, early 80s, before Rodney Dangerfield discovered him.
And yeah, and
So,
he was funny. Like you said, he would always scream like in his in his act though. Like I remember in that episode, he was screaming like upstairs. He was like, "Can you spend 1 minute not playing Nintendo up there?"
yeah, he did that. And then in the movie, was it Back to School or something like that? Loses his mind like that.
It's just a classic.
But yeah, that happens, especially in my case when I do voices. I entertain myself sometimes with these voices because I'm able to separate myself from the character. So like if I were to have a slow night at night and I'd say, I want to hear something funny, I might turn into somebody like George Carlin. Hey, you're just sitting around and you see what's going on there? Boy, it's nothing I would do. And somebody else who had passed away not too long ago was he was the voice of the parrot in the TV show or the movie Aladdin.
Gilbert
Actually,
Gottfried.
he do the
Gilbert
voice
Gottfried.
every time.
Yeah.
Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah.
Iago.
Parrot. God rest his soul.
Yeah, God rest his soul. He was
So things like that keep me entertained. I mean, never a dull moment around here. But that's what happens when I can do voices. I put on my own little show for myself, and it keeps me going all the way too. If I ever slow her down, I'd say, "Greg, I got a joke for you," and then I'd go, "Oh no, I don't know if I want to hear it," and yeah, just interact with this whole other character.
Cool. There, your final comments?
Yes, all I had is just do you have any other voice acting work lined up or anything else, or what's going on?
In the meantime, since the COVID has shaken the business tremendously, it's shaken it to where people can only, or not, I wouldn't say only, but for the most part, need to have their own studio and record a particular voice. You're not in a group anymore, and so you have to be able to deliver that character and still fit in with the cast that's going on. So we're all trying to work that way currently. I had some ADR work, which is called automatic dialogue replacement. I mentioned I was a voice of a 70s newscaster, but they recorded me out of a studio solely by myself. Um, and so as far as coming up now, I'm going to studios and reading for various parts, and it has in with what's going on. And I'm just trying, like everybody else now, to get a foothold on to see. In the past, when there were only just a few of us people, we say when we need for that. Now, with the business, you might have a call for one character voice, but they're listening to 200 people or so. And so you've got to hopefully rise to the top of that. However, there's more dynamics involved in that as well, because from a casting standpoint, you might be a good voice and have a great character, but if they cast four other people who are just getting started or haven't hit that professional type of voice that you couldn't believe somebody sounds like that, if it mixes into the match that they are putting together for a show, then you might get a part. But now you might have the best voice. I mean, even somebody like Rich Little, you would think he'd be working all the time on a cartoon or a movie or whatever, which he has in the past. But now that so many people are involved, it's a number game. And yeah, they're very good, but then it also depends if they're trying to put you into a match with other people where you balance out the project. Yeah.
Huh.
So I'm just busy doing my auditioning and doing, as well as doing appearances for meeting some of the fans over the years. So I'm busy.
Well, I can't hear you there.
That's so awesome. I said thank you so much. I'm sorry if I can't hear you. I know I've been
No worries, brother. No worries,
Okay.
brother. You're good. I have my final comment, Greg, but before we do, I promise you one final clip, and I know for a fact you're gonna love this. Darius is gonna love this. Jess, you may like this too, but this is the original clip of the 1987 Ninja Turtles, where Greg actually did the work for Barry, like in these episodes. So I actually have a clip of this, like a 1 minute clip of Barry's magic doing this. So we're just gonna play this really quickly, and then we're gonna get to the final comment. Here we go. Can everyone see?
Yes.
Okay. This is Greg's legendary appearance on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
They're a lot more dangerous than April realizes. Those are the chemicals that are mixed to create mutagen. Yeah, he's still a human being. Sort of. And now it's time for us to mosey on back to the old sewer sludge corral.
It's a pity you fellas can't adopt one of these steers and start your own ranch.
Right, a dude ranch.
I think we have the next one. Here we go. Hold on. Right here. Sorry about that.
Just one more, boss. It's a real doozy. Why do you need more mutants, Krang? The old double cross, huh, boss? Sounds good to me.
Final comment to you is first of all, I want to thank you for this amazing interview that you gave us tonight. And I just want to say too, like, my co-hosts that are not on tonight, they usually tell me I sound like a broken record when I say this, but I like to think of it as a catchphrase when I say this though, and that is, you have this incredible gift, Greg, where you could take a 35-year-old fan like this dude here and make him feel like that little boy watching Muppet Babies and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles again, just, like living those nostalgic moments.
It's great to hear. I hear from people that also, as the voice of young Huckleberry Hound, and I run into fans of the original Huckleberry Hound, and they don't care if I was the young version. They just wanted some of him and pictures to them as well. And or I had liked because they liked Huckleberry so much. But as long as I'm around, young Huck will carry on as well. The studio changed other hands now, but that's why there are different
Greg,
versions of
before
him.
we wrap up though, Greg, there's one little request I have for you because my sister and I, my big sister and I used to watch Muppet Babies back in the day. Now her and her daughter watch it, the current one though. So I was just curious to know, Greg, before we conclude though, could we get a message from Baby Fozzie and Baby Scooter, like telling my, talking to my big sister Elissa and my niece Mia?
Sure, sure. Ready?
Ready.
All right, so this is for Alyssa and for Mia. It's Muppet Baby Fozzie Bear and Baby Scooter. Hey, Fozzie, here's one for you because I've been working on my computer all day and knew you had to come up with something. Okay, ready? How do you fix a broken pumpkin? Oh, okay. And you have the punchline there, don't you? Yeah. With the pumpkin patch. Waka waka waka.
Oh, thank you so much, Craig, for this interview. I'm actually gonna have this interview up tonight, though. I want to thank you for this amazing interview, this part 2 interview. Before we conclude, Greg, there's something that I feel like you deserve this for years of like entertaining us, like it's entertaining me, entertaining Darius, entertaining Jesse, and that is thank you, Greg. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Greg. It was such a pleasure talking to you tonight, sir, and I'm going to send you a copy of this interview as soon as it's done. And I want to thank also Darius and Jesse for joining me tonight, though. But everyone have a great night, and I will see you all in the future.
You too, Petey.